Hello. This lesson today is a follow-on from what we've started previously on allotropes of carbon. So allotropes of carbon is your title. You need the worksheet shown below for your do now task. Get date, title, keywords down, and the video can now be paused while you complete the first 2 rows of your worksheet on diamond and graphite. So you should already have information on diamond and graphite to help you complete those 2 rows. So I'm going to move us on to the next task now, or rather to the next part of the lesson. So you know already that carbon comes in different forms or allotropes. We've done some work on graphite and diamond, but there are some other allotropes of carbon you need to know about. So graphene, carbon nanotubes, and fullerenes are what we're concentrating on in this lesson. So just like graphite and diamond, these other allotropes are all giant covalent structures, and the reason that they have different shapes and different properties is because of the way the carbons are actually joined together. Video to show you now on allotropes of carbon. If for any reason this doesn't play, then it can be found on YouTube by searching the name there. So you, by all means, make more notes on your worksheets while you're watching this, but actually I will be putting some information up on the screen for you to use. So probably just watching and listening is more important while the video's on.
In this video, we are going to learn about the structures of buckyballs, also known as Buckminster fullerenes, graphene and nanotubes, and what their importance are in an area of science called nanoscience. You may already be familiar with diamond and graphite as 2 allotropes of carbon. Allotropes are structurally different forms of an element. There's a video on this channel called Giant Chemical Structures that you might want to look at. If you have watched this video, can you remember the structural arrangement of the carbon atoms in graphite? Pause the video and resume when ready. The answer is that graphite exists as sheets of carbon atoms arranged in hexagonal rings. Fullerenes are carbon-based molecules with a hollow cage-like structure. Robert Curl, Harold Kroto, and Richard Smalley discovered the most common fullerene in 1985, the Buckminster fullerene. It consists of molecules containing 60 carbon atoms joined together, forming a hollow sphere. There is an alternating arrangement of hexagons and pentagons, much like that seen in a football. Can you think why the space inside the fullerene is of importance? Pause the video and continue when you have a suggestion. The answer is, the space is big enough for atoms and molecules to fit inside. Already, scientists are utilising this to cage radioactive metal atoms and drugs. In one potential drug therapy, buckyballs containing cancer drugs are coated with a chemical that causes them to gather around cancerous cells. Once there, they deliver their drugs without harming healthy cells. Graphene is very similar to graphite, except there are no intermolecular forces holding the hexagonal arrangement of carbon atoms together. It has a 2-dimensional structure. It has some very special properties which make it a material for the future. Despite being 1 atom thick, it is incredibly strong. The graphene can conduct electricity as efficiently as copper. The graphene is virtually transparent, yet is so dense that not even helium atoms, which are tiny, can pass through. So far, we have encountered 2 examples which both share a common theme, the fullerene. Fullerenes hold a special importance in nanoscience, a relatively new area of science which involves the study of nanoparticles. Nanoparticles are tiny particles made up of only a few hundred atoms. They can measure between 1 nanometer and 100 nanometers across. A nanometer is a billionth of a meter. To illustrate how small this is, a human hair is about 100,000 nanometers in diameter. Fullerene particles can be joined together to make nanotubes. These nanotubes have massive surface areas compared to their volumes, and this makes them excellent catalysts. You may recall that a chemical reaction takes place at the surface of a catalyst, and so having more surfaces enables that catalyst to work more efficiently. Nanotubes are the strongest and stiffest materials ever discovered. Often they are used to reinforce tennis rackets made out of graphite. All of these Fullerene structures are revolutionary in the developing field of nanoscience. The nanoparticles mentioned here could be implicated in the development of new self-cleaning coatings in ovens and on windows, new types of computer processing, very strong and light building materials, and these fullerenes could be used as sensors to detect substances in tiny amounts, or to deliver drugs to specific sites in the body. In summary, there are 3 key nanoparticles: Buckminster fullerenes, graphene, and nanotubes. These nanoparticles have a wide range of potential uses for the future.
Okay, so a lot of information in that video. We are now going to sort of summarize the most important information so that you can fill out the remaining rows on your worksheet. So what I'm going to do, I've basically got some slides that I'm going to put up on the screen, and the video can be paused while each slide is up, so that you can then fill in the relevant information on your sheet, and then we'll just go through and check that everybody's got the right sort of answers at the end. So that's the sheet you should have in front of you, same one as you had for your do now task. Okay, so here's some information about graphene. I'll read it through and then the video can be paused while you fill it out. So graphene is a 1 atom thick, 2-dimensional sheet of carbon atoms bonded into a honeycomb lattice. Each carbon atom is covalently bonded to 3 others, forming hexagonal rings. The carbon atoms are very strongly bonded in each layer. This means it's a very strong material. Currently, it's the strongest material yet made. It's about 200 times stronger than steel. So pause here to finish off that row in your worksheet. And there's a picture of layers of graphene. So graphene is actually, it's different to graphite in that the layers aren't attracted to each other. So we can actually use single layers of graphene in materials in order to strengthen them. Graphite you should have already done, but if you've got any issues with graphite, it can be paused here. Carbon nanotubes next. These are long molecular scale tubes of carbon. Once again, carbon is bonded to 3 neighbours in hexagonal rings. Think of a layer of graphite or graphene curled to form a cylinder. This is also a very strong material because of the strong covalent bonding within each tube. Their strength gives them many possible applications, for example in bulletproof vests, making lightweight and strong sports equipment. So pause here to complete that row. And fullerenes now. So fullerenes are a large class of allotropes of carbon and are made of balls and cages of carbon atoms. Buckminster fullerene is one type of fullerene. The molecule has 60 carbon atoms arranged in a hollow sphere, and their structure allows them to be used for drug delivery into the body as lubricants and catalysts. Though this is really sort of modern scientific developments. It's only in the last few years that we've started to use these fullerenes in these ways. So again, pause here. And these are the sorts of answers you should have. So again, you can pause that and just make sure that you've got every bit of detail that you need. Okay, the next task is to have a go at answering some sort of general knowledge questions about the allotropes of carbons. So this is the worksheet you need next. I am going to show each sheet on the next few slides just in case you haven't got it for any reason, so you can do it from the screen. And I'll put the answers up afterwards. So this is probably going to take 10 minutes or so, I would think. So that's the first page, then the next page, and there's the next page. So pause the video while you do those, and then the answers will come up in a moment. I'm about to put the answers on the screen. I know the numbering's a bit strange on the question sheet, but hopefully the way I've laid it out will make it clear. So again, pause this while you mark your work and correct anything you got wrong. Moving on now. So the last task is to have a go at these exam questions. So again, these should have been printed out for you, but if not, hopefully you can see them on the screen, or perhaps whoever's with you can read them out to you. So pause the video. These will take, again, I would think about 10 minutes to write full answers, perhaps not quite that long. And I'm going to put the answers up now. Pause the video, check your work. And the next questions, again, pause and check. And the next questions. Okay, so that's the last task that I'm setting for today. So if you've got any time left, as always, look back over your work or look back over any previous work. Highlight key points, make a note of things that you know you struggle to remember. Perhaps write some key points that you particularly need to focus on at the back of your book, or make a note of anything you found difficult or you don't quite understand, so that when we are together again in school, we can ask those and get rid of any misconceptions. Hope to see you soon.